And joining us on the broadcast is Dr. Sandeep Shastri, Vice President, NIT Education Trust and National Coordinator, Lokniti Network. He's joining us from Bangalore. I want to thank you, Mr. Shastri, for speaking to India Today this evening. The pertinent question we ask that they were speaking in a different language back home when they were busy playing their politics, and while it is wonderful to see this unity on a global platform, eliminating the political differences, they are all talking in one voice, which is the best for the nation, and they hail the abrogation of Article 370. What do you make of this change in stance? Will they talk in the same tone once they are back?
I think it's important to bear in mind that when Article 370 was abrogated, there were multiple voices in the opposition parties also. For sure that the leaders who have spoken in favor of Article 370 now, while traveling abroad, took a similar stand at that point of time. So I think it's important to bear in on certain issues, there were individual voices within opposition parties taking a stand. On the wider issue that you are raising, yes, as part of a multi-party delegation and representing the country abroad, there is a common position taken. But the reality of political competition within the country will definitely see the polarization happening. And when it comes to domestic politics, clearly, parties and their leaders will take specific stands on issues. And that is something to be expected. And I would also argue that is not something new. That's always been happening.
All right, Mr. Shastri, I apologize. We may have to reconnect with you at a later point, sir, because that audio line is not very clear. But all right, I'm being told that Mr. Shastri is back with us. Continue telling us what you were saying, sir.
The point I was making is, even in the past, we have had leaders like Vajpayee ji describing Indira Gandhi as Durga after the 1971 war. So it's not that we have not had across the party lines similarity of stands being taken. And when it comes to domestic politics, a very clear difference of opinion. This is something that has been there for quite some time, always been there as part of our politics. So I really don't see a challenge in what is happening today.
So, but how do you see the situation moving forward? Because we've seen what has happened with Shashi Tharoor and the kind of statements that have been made against him by the Congress itself. You think once this all-party delegation is back, their respective parties will go out after their leaders, saying that you did not toe the party line, you spoke in the language of the BJP?
I think we need to understand the internal contradictions that are emerging within the Congress party. Let's also remember that the differences that Shashi Tharoor has had with his party are not just of yesterday. They started right from the time he was the party president candidate and the election he lost. And after that, I don't think sufficient efforts were made to keep him on their side. So I think in some senses, what has happened now is a very skillful use of a situation by the government to bring him to their side as part of a foreign delegation. So there are these internal contradictions within the party. There are such internal contradictions within all parties. And obviously other parties will try to exploit that to their advantage. Yes, the Congress has internal challenges. Yes, Shashi Tharoor has spoken the way he has. Salman Khurshid has spoken the way he has, which may be very different from the party line. And I think in every democratic party, there must be that right for a person to be able to make his or her stand clear. So I think, yes, that will very well be exploited by political opponents. And that is what the game of politics is all about.
Fair point, and I completely understand where you're coming from. I once again reiterate that it is wonderful to watch them eliminate their political differences and behave as a team when they're standing on global platform. But I again ask you that for someone who's observing how the Indian political narrative is shaping, can one assume that there is political consensus when it comes to issues like the abrogation of Article 370 and probably others too?
Now, I would say there was a political consensus when Operation Sindoor was launched, and the days immediately after that, you did have a strong political consensus. I think Article 370 is a bit more contentious issue there may have been a few people within the Congress and other opposition parties who took a stand that Article 370 needed to be abrogated. But then that was not the line of their respective parties. And parties took a very different position on the matter. And this is something which, again, I would reiterate, in past politics, this is something that is always seen. I go back to my example. When Vajpayee ji did take that stand in 1971, describing Indira Gandhi as Durga, many in his party were very upset with the stand he took. So we have had situations in the past too, within a political party, important leaders taking a personal position not backed by their parties, and then that issue getting resolved over time. So I think that is part of the democratic processes within parties. It's another matter that, given today's strong element of polarization within the between parties, it tends to get exploited irrespective of which party we are talking about.
All right. All right. I want to thank you for speaking to us this evening, and we wait and watch how the situation develops once the all-party delegation is back. For the moment, we move on. Thank you for joining us.